The first proof my partner was cheating wasn't lipstick on a collar or a late-night text. It was a $3 parking fee, charged in a place we never go, and I only noticed it because I'm the kind of person who rounds every expense to the nearest dollar in my head, like a reflex. Pause. Because this is where it gets insane. That tiny charge ended a 5-year relationship faster than any screaming match ever could. If you'd asked me a month earlier, I would have told you we were boring in the best way. My name's Elena. I'm 32, and I work from home doing data and reports for a small logistics company. I'm not glamorous. I'm organized. I color code my calendar. I buy the same brand of tea every week because change is exhausting. My partner, Mark, is 34. He works in medical equipment sales. Lots of driving, lots of quick meetings, lots of smiling at people who make him feel important. He's charming in a way that makes strangers treat him like they already know him. Even when I was annoyed at him, I'd catch myself watching him talk and thinking, how did I get this lucky? We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 little closet space and a balcony we pretended we'd use more. We had routines that were so predictable, they felt like safety. Monday night, pasta. Wednesday, grocery run. Friday, we should go out, followed by takeout and a movie we only half watched. Our fights were small. Socks left on the floor. The way he squeezed toothpaste like it owed him money. The way I cleaned when I was stressed and somehow made the cleaning his fault. Nothing dramatic. Nothing suspicious. In fact, if anything, Mark seemed better lately. More affectionate, more babe, and hey, I missed you, and little kisses on my shoulder when I stood at the sink. He'd bring home those tiny chocolate bars I like, the ones I never buy because I tell myself they're a waste. I remember thinking, maybe we're finally out of that weird phase. Maybe adulthood isn't just surviving side by side. On a Tuesday evening, he came in with rain on his jacket and a grin like he had a secret. "Guess what?" he said, holding up a paper cup. "Your tea. The good kind." I laughed. "You went to that place across town?" "Had a meeting nearby," he said. And I didn't question it because why would I? He put his phone face down on the counter like he always did. He washed his hands. He asked about my day. He listened. Really listened. While I complained about a spreadsheet that hated me. If you're watching this and thinking, okay, but there had to be signs, that's the thing. When someone is good at lying, your life doesn't look like a crime scene. It looks like Tuesday. The first red flag wasn't big enough to wave. It was more like a loose thread you notice and then ignore because you're tired. Red flag number 1, the car smell. Mark's car started smelling like a different shampoo. Not perfume, just cleaner, sweeter. Like someone who buys expensive conditioner. I mentioned it casually. "Did you switch products?" He shrugged. "Maybe the car wash used a different spray." It sounded reasonable. I accepted it. Red flag number 2, the battery excuse. One night around 11:30 p.m., he said his phone was dying and he needed to run to the convenience store for a charger. We had 3 chargers. I pointed at them like a courtroom lawyer. "We literally have one right there." He didn't even look. "Yeah, but that one's weird. It disconnects." "It doesn't." He kissed my forehead. "I'll be 10 minutes." He came back in 25 with a charger that looked exactly like the ones we already had, and he was breathing like he jogged. "Traffic," he said. "There is no traffic at midnight by the convenience store." But I told myself maybe he talked to someone. Maybe he got stuck behind a delivery truck. Maybe I was being paranoid. Mark had never been precious about his phone. He wasn't the password change every week type. But suddenly he started taking calls on the balcony, like our apartment had invisible microphones. He'd step outside and lower his voice. When he came back in, he'd smile too brightly and say, "Just work stuff." One time I asked, "Who was that?" He answered too fast. "Kevin." I didn't know a Kevin, but I didn't push. Because pushing makes you feel like you're becoming a version of yourself you don't recognize. And if I'm being honest, I wanted the peace. I wanted the normal. I wanted to keep believing the story, where nothing bad happened to me. Then came the parking fee. It popped up on our shared expense app. Mark liked using it because he said it made us feel like a team. We split rent, utilities, groceries. It was adult and responsible and slightly annoying. I was categorizing charges like I always did, half watching a show, when I saw parking, €3, downtown Medical Plaza garage. I stared at it longer than I should have. Downtown Medical Plaza wasn't downtown the way our city's downtown was. It was in a different area, near a cluster of clinics and offices and a small hotel that hosted conferences. Mark didn't work there. We didn't go there. $3 is nothing. But it was $3 in the wrong place. I opened my mouth to ask about it. Then I closed it. Because a part of me thought, if I ask and he lies, something will change forever. So instead, I did what I always do when I'm scared. I collected data. Tell me you've been there, where you don't want the truth, but you also can't stop your brain from walking toward it. 2 days later, Mark left his car keys on the counter and the small metal key ring had a new fob on it. It was plain, black, no logo. I held it up. What's this? Mark didn't look at it. He was pulling on his jacket, already late. Oh, he said, casual, like he was talking about the weather. That's for a storage unit. Work thing. I blinked. A storage unit? Yeah, he said, and he finally looked at me. His eyes were calm. Sometimes I keep samples there, so the car isn't full. Where is it? He kissed my cheek. Near downtown. Don't worry about it. And then he left. I stood in the kitchen with that key ring in my hand, feeling the air change around me. Because here's the thing. A storage unit is not the kind of thing you forget to mention for months. It's not a casual, oh yeah, it's rent, it's a contract. It's a physical space with a lock that exists whether you're honest or not. That night, I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't even talk to my friends because saying it out loud would make it real. Instead, I did something quietly humiliating. I waited until he fell asleep, and I took his phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type the passcode, which I knew, because we were a team, remember? The phone opened. No secret folder, no obvious dating apps, no naked photos, nothing dramatic. For a second, I almost laughed, like, see, you're crazy. You're the problem. Then I remembered the one place people forget about because it's boring. The calendar. I opened it, and there it was. A repeating event on Thursdays, 6:30 p.m., titled Client Follow-Up, every week. I knew his Thursdays. He always said Thursday nights were his late days. He'd come home tired, sometimes with takeout, sometimes with that long day face. I tapped one of the events. No notes, no location, but at the same time, every week, like a heartbeat. I checked his location history. He had it on. We turned it on together for safety, in case of emergencies, he'd said. I scrolled back to last Thursday, downtown Medical Plaza garage. I scrolled back again. Same, I scrolled back again. Same. Every Thursday, 6:30 p.m., the phone sat in the same zone long enough for a parking fee to make sense. I went back to the messages. Nothing obvious until I noticed something that made my stomach drop. A contact saved as Kev. I tapped it. The last message thread was normal. Almost painfully normal. On my way. Okay. Running late. No hearts, no flirting, just logistics. The way people talk when they've already said everything else in person. I clicked the contact details. Kev had no photo, but the number wasn't saved with a last name. I stared at it, then did the simplest thing in the world. I copied it into our shared contact search on my laptop, and up popped a name from Mark's company directory. Not Kevin, Kelsey Baird. A woman. I sat there in the dark, lit by my laptop screen, feeling like my brain was floating above my body. I wasn't angry yet, I was cold. Like my nervous system had hit a switch and decided emotion was too expensive right now. I opened the directory profile. Kelsey was 29, marketing coordinator, smiling headshot, bright eyes, the kind of face that looks like it's never been hit by a life-changing sentence. And under her info, office location, downtown Medical Plaza. My throat made a sound. Not quite a sob, not quite a laugh. It was my brain realizing this wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't me being dramatic. This was a pattern with a name attached. At 3:12 a.m., I went to the bathroom and sat on the edge of the tub, like I was waiting for a doctor to come in and explain a diagnosis. I kept replaying tiny moments like they were security footage, the new shampoo smell, the charger trip, the phone on the balcony, the way he started complimenting me more, like he was paying a fee for the right to keep lying. I looked at myself in the mirror and thought something that hurt more than the cheating. He thinks I'm stupid, not just He fell for someone else, or he made a mistake. No, he built a system. He scheduled it. He renamed her in his phone, like I was a problem to solve. My hands were so tight around the edge of the sink that my knuckles looked pale. That's when the shame arrived, right on time. Because betrayal doesn't just make you sad, it makes you ask, how did I not see it? Then comes the darker question. Did I see it and choose not to? I thought about every time I swallowed a suspicion because I didn't want to be that girlfriend. Every time I told myself I was lucky he was still affectionate. Every time I looked at our ordinary life and decided it was safer than uncertainty. And then, this is the part that really messed with me, I thought about how calm I felt, like something in me had finally stopped bargaining. I texted my best friend, Nina, at 3:18 a.m. Me. Are you awake? She called immediately, because that's what real friends do when they see that message in the middle of the night. What's wrong? She whispered. I stared at the bedroom door, where Mark was asleep like a child who believes the world is gentle. I think he's cheating, I said, and my voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Silence. Then Nina said, Okay. Breathe, what do you know? I told her about the parking fee, the calendar, the contact name. She didn't say, maybe there's an explanation. She didn't say, are you sure? She said the sentence that made it real. I'm coming over in the morning. You're not doing this alone. Viewer engagement moment. If you've ever been in this spot, tell me in the comments, did you confront right away or did you gather proof first? Because I didn't do what movies do. I didn't throw his phone at him and scream. I waited for Thursday. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. Not because I needed more pain, but because I needed my brain to stop trying to protect him. Thursday came like a deadline. All day, Mark acted normal. He joked while he made coffee. He asked if I wanted anything from the store. He kissed me goodbye before leaving for work like he was just a man with a schedule. At 5:40 p.m., he texted, Mark, late day, don't wait dinner. At 6:12 p.m., he texted again, Mark, might be 8-ish. I replied me, okay, no emojis, no love you, just okay. At 6:20 p.m., Nina arrived and sat on my couch like we were about to watch a horror movie we couldn't turn off. You sure? She asked gently. I nodded. She held my hand. Then let's go. We drove in silence, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to leave. When we got near the downtown medical plaza, Nina parked across the street where we could see the garage entrance. We waited. At 6:37 p.m., Mark's car pulled in. I recognized it instantly. The stupid dent near the rear bumper. The license plate frame he insisted was funny. Everything about it made me feel like vomiting. He parked. Then he got out. And then a woman approached him. Not running, not hesitant, comfortable. Like this was normal. She was wearing a light jacket and carrying a tote bag. She smiled, and Mark's whole posture softened in a way I hadn't seen in months. He didn't look around like a guilty man. He looked like a man arriving at something he wanted. They walked toward the elevators, and before the doors closed, he reached out and touched her lower back, like a small claim. I made a sound that Nina later told me was the most heartbreaking thing she'd ever heard. Not a scream, not a sob, just a soft involuntary, oh, because that was the exact moment my brain klatsnula. The relationship I thought I had was already over. I was just the last person to receive the memo. I didn't confront them in the garage. Nina begged me not to, and honestly, she was right. I wasn't in a state to do something smart. I was in a state to do something legendary and stupid. So, we went home. We waited. The waiting was torture. Every sound in the hallway made my chest tighten. Every minute felt like my dignity was leaking out slowly, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. At 8:23 p.m., Mark texted, Mark, wrapping up, be home soon. At 8:57 p.m., I heard his key in the door. He walked in carrying a bag of takeout like he was a hero returning from battle. Hey, he said brightly, I got your favorite. I looked at him and realized something terrifying. He really thought he could keep doing this. He set the food down, leaned in to kiss me, and I stepped back. The smile on his face faltered for a split second. What's wrong? He asked, still trying to sound normal. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. I said, Who's Kelsey? The air changed. His eyes flicked. Just once, like a person checking where the exits are. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. And that was it. That sentence snapped the last thread. I nodded slowly. Okay, he frowned. Elena. I walked to the kitchen counter and lifted his keys. The new black fob dangled like a confession. I know about the storage unit, I said. I know about Thursdays. I know about the garage. I know you saved her as Kev. His mouth opened, then closed. No sound came out for a moment, and then he did the thing liars do when they realize the story is collapsing. He tried to negotiate reality. It's not what you think, he said. I laughed once. It came out sharp and ugly. It's exactly what I think. He ran a hand through his hair. Okay, just, can we talk about this calmly? That word, calmly, almost made me lose it, like I was supposed to be polite while he disassembled my life. Nina stepped out from the hallway. She'd been there the whole time, quiet as a witness. Mark froze when he saw her. That was the first time he looked truly scared. What is this? He demanded, and his voice cracked slightly. This, I said, is me not doing this alone. He swallowed. Elena, listen, Kelsey it's complicated. Is she your client follow-up? I asked. He flinched. Is she your late day? I asked. Silence. I leaned on the counter because my legs were shaking. How long? He stared at the floor like it could save him. 2 months, he said. 2 months. 2 months of kissing me. 2 months of eating dinner with me. 2 months of lying with a straight face. I nodded like I was collecting the final piece of data. Do you love her? I asked. He looked up too fast, like he'd been waiting for that question. I don't know, he said. And for some reason, that hurt more than yes, because I don't know meant I was optional. He stepped closer. I never wanted to hurt you. I stared at him. Then why didn't you stop? His eyes went glossy. Because I felt seen. I felt my throat tighten. You know what's brutal? Hearing someone explain your replacement like it's a self-improvement journey. Nina's voice was low and deadly calm. You felt seen, so you lied to her every day? Mark looked at Nina like she was being unreasonable. Then he looked back at me, and his face changed again. Soft, pleading. Can we fix this? He asked. I'll end it. I'll do whatever you want. I'll go to counseling. I waited. I expected anger to rise up like a wave, but what I felt was emptiness, like the love inside me had been drained out and there was nothing left to fight with. You already did whatever you wanted, I said quietly. He reached for my hand. I pulled it away. For a second, he just stood there, breathing hard, like he couldn't believe consequences were real. Then he said something that I will never forget. So that's it? You're just done? And I realized he wasn't shocked that I was hurt. He was shocked that I had a boundary. I looked at him and said, Pack a bag. He shook his head. This is my home, too. I nodded. Then sleep somewhere else, and we'll talk about logistics tomorrow. He stared at me like he was waiting for me to break. I didn't. The silence between us was louder than any argument we'd ever had. Finally, he grabbed a duffel bag from the closet, threw random clothes into it, and slammed the zipper like it was my fault. At the door, he turned back. I'm sorry, he said, voice small. I didn't answer, because I didn't have words that wouldn't poison me. He left. The door clicked shut, and the apartment felt bigger, like the air had been trapped for months and finally escaped. Viewer engagement moment. If you've ever heard It's Not What You Think, what did it actually turn out to be? Because in my experience, it's always exactly what you think. The next morning, I didn't cry. I cleaned. Not because I'm strong, but because my brain needed a task that had edges and steps. I washed the mugs he used. I folded the blanket he liked. I erased his Thursday events from the shared calendar one by one like I was deleting a virus. Nina sat at my table with coffee and watched me like she was guarding a wounded animal from wandering into traffic. You don't have to be productive, she said. I'm not, I replied. I'm just moving. At 11:04 a.m., Mark texted, Mark, can we talk today? I want to explain. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed, me. There's nothing to explain. Send me the storage unit address. I'm removing my name from any shared expenses. He replied almost immediately, Mark, please don't do this like that. Like what? Like an adult? Like a person who saw the truth and didn't decorate it with hope? He came over that afternoon to pick up more things. We didn't hug. We didn't cry together. There was no cinematic closure. He moved around the apartment like a stranger who still knew where everything was. At one point, he paused by the balcony door, looking out like he was remembering all the times he'd taken calls out there. I wanted to ask him 100 questions. Were you thinking about her when you kissed me? Did you ever feel guilty? Did you ever look at me and feel nothing? But I didn't ask. Because answers don't heal you, they just give your pain new details. He loaded boxes into his car. He carried his guitar case like it weighed more than usual. At the door, he hesitated. I really did love you, he said. I looked at him and I believed he believed that, and that's the cruelest part. People can love you and still destroy you if loving you requires honesty, and they don't have it. I said, please leave your keys. He placed them on the entry table. The black fob landed with a soft clink, a tiny sound for something that changed everything. After he left, I sat on the floor and finally cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent tears that felt like my body paying a debt it had been avoiding. Weeks passed. I found out through mutual friends that Mark and Kelsey didn't work out. Apparently, she didn't like being a secret, once she realized she wasn't the only one being lied to. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt confirmation, like the universe stamping a document. This was not your fault. This was his pattern. I changed my passwords. I canceled the shared app. I stopped calling our apartment home and started calling it my place. One night, I opened my banking app and saw my expenses had changed. No takeout for 2 people. No gas charges that weren't mine. No random parking fees. My life looked smaller on paper, but calmer. That's what betrayal does. It strips your world down until all that's left is the truth and your own breathing. And sometimes the truth is cold, but it's clean. I didn't lose him to another woman. I lost him the moment he decided my reality was something he could edit without my consent.